Check it out. Bag of goodies just landed. How are you folks? Welcome back to the workshop. There are a bag of tools on that need to be fixed. Let's see what's inside and see if we can fix them. Oh, dusty sack. What have we got? So my cookies, Bosch grinders, and a Makita grinder. Right. Let's see if we can do with this lot. Start off with the Makita. That the one side, but these the one side. And it's stripped out anyway for a start. Gears going on it. What is she? A 9557 NB from 2007. There's the problem there. Stripped out gear. If that one's gone, this one will be gone. Question is the motor any good? Yep. Nothing wrong with the motor. See if we can fix the gears. The company that sent these in actually works with cement, making ornaments, so they get heavy use. As you can see, they're not kept clean and tidy anyway. Give that a wee clean out, and don't forget a wee rubber bearing sleeve down on the bottom. Don't forget that. If we can get it out, there we go. Need that. Clean that out with the compressor. Replace that. Bearings are actually quite good. The main offender is this one. Look at that. She's been chewed up rightly. But everything else is okay. She's just eating the teeth off the gear. These are just made using powder metallurgy. They're not actually cut gears. They're powdered metal put in a press and baked under heat and pressure. It's called powder metallurgy. That's where you get this pattern, this grain pattern, whenever they break. Basically looks like pressed sand. Grand for gears and that. Likes of this application means you can make them very cheap. Most grinders are done this way now. Very seldom will you get a grinder with actual cut gears in them. This here's the standard process. But that gear there costs what? 10 or 15 euro? That costs 6 or 7. It's well worth doing this. Considering the machine is actually 16 years old, it's definitely worth doing. That's a bit thick, that one. No, it's not going to fit either. I'll have to use the bearing press. Underneath the wee bearing, you have a C-clip and a spring washer. Your gear's actually fitted slack. You just have a wee keyway locking it in place. Everything else is good. Give us a quick wash out. We'll clean off this grease. The bearing as well is fine. Don't have to change that. That's them cleaned out. And 2 new gears. Now if the bearings are also gone on this here, this main one, and the armature bearings, you'd be talking an extra 15 or 17 euro. Things like that start adding up. Brushes, if they were gone, you're onto another 8 euro. Lead, you're onto another 10. Depends on the condition of the machine to see what's actually going to be worth fixing. What's the rest of the components like inside the machine. Just 2 bearings stripped out in this here. They're not expensive to replace, so it's well worth doing this one. But when there's actually more things along with that gone, that's when they start to get expensive. But for these 2 parts, it's well worth fixing. And make sure you clean them out when you do destroy a gear like this. You'll know why whenever you start washing it out. All these missing teeth, they'll be inside the gearbox. That's what's actually destroyed this gear. But you can see the wee chew marks inside where them teeth have been running around and chewing up the aluminium. All these pieces, if you don't get them all out, just one leftover tooth inside of this will destroy your new gears. So you make sure you get a thorough clean out inside of there and this, anywhere where that grease was touching, get it all cleaned out. That's them, and that's just blown out as well. That should be us good to go. Just have this wee notch at the bottom, doesn't matter, just generally where it goes, and just line it up with the seam of the machine. Make sure it's halfway. It'll guarantee your holes line up as well. Same as any of these machines, you can actually rotate this head any way you want. Generally from the factory, the head will be fitted so the switch is on the left hand side of the machine. But if you're left-handed, you want to use it the other way around, you can easily just flip the head around. And also, don't forget our little bearing. Press that on as well on the bearing press. That's it, ready to go. Top her up with grease. Good coating on the bottom to fill up the wee channels. And that's generally all you're going to need down in there. A wee bit extra on the teeth, so that it doesn't start up dry. And that's all the grease you need. Don't overfill this. So all you're going to do is cavitate the gears. This wee notch up here, make sure that's facing up to the top. That's where your guard drops on through. Now what does she run like? That's her. Sounds good. She slows down a wee bit there, and an initial start up. That's the actual grease working its way around the head. Once it's worked around onto all the positions, you can hear the machine actually speed up then. That's her, ready to go. Next up, we have a wee Hitachi. It's actually Hitachi as well. It's the older version. It's not Hikoki. Nothing. I already know what that's probably going to be. Same as the Makita. Melted brushes. But unlike the Makita, these don't tend to withstand the motor overheating as much as the Makita does. That one looks alright. There's the problem. One burnt up brush. I wonder if that holder's okay. I wonder if it's just a brush that failed. We'll open this anyway and clean it out. Because like the last one, it'll probably be full of cement. Alright, it's not actually too bad inside. This one got a wee bit hot, but it hasn't actually melted the plastic. So we'll get away with that. This one might get away with just a set of brushes. Give it a quick clean out, quick blow down, put it back together. Now this burn's not the greatest, but it'll have to do. This one here is okay. Don't even know if it's going to work properly or not, so it's not worth changing the bearing. So your stator, little notch up on here, that locates up on here to the top. Drop that on. Put your armature through the brush ring. Put on your rubber cap for the end of it. drop everything into place. And we're just able to move up and down just a little bit to allow the cover to close and to drop the cap down on top. Just like the Makita, you can actually rotate this head to 4 different positions as well. You don't have to put it on the exact same way. Now for the actual problem, brushes 999/054. That's her, on older Hitachi 18-volt cordless grinder, a G18 DSL from 2017, up and running again with a set of brushes. Now, the next one was the same age, 2017, not sure the model of it, but she is the older type. Light comes on, motor's doing nothing. That's not looking good. Now this designer machine, this shade of green with all this pattern and texture on it, generally whenever this stuff came out, this was the end of Hitachi. The stuff before this was like a different shade of green. They were far better quality. When they started onto this crack, making it look like a space gun, that's when Hitachi went downhill. What's going on here? I think we might be totally gone. Look inside of there. So there's two wee brass plates, one pointing this way, one pointing that way. See this one here? Another one down there. They're pointing like this. They're meant to be sitting like that. One brush here, both on a spring to push against the armature. This one is actually broken away and is flipped around this side. So now they're both sitting like that. So in other words, that motor's gone. How much is it? And can we still get it? Nah. That one's a no. To buy that there, you're looking about 50 or 60 euro just for that motor. So even if I were to charge 5 or 10 euro to fix this, it's still going to be too expensive. You're looking at about what, 70 or 80 euro a pair, including the VAT. Wouldn't be worth that kind of money. So this one's actually a WH18DGL. If you didn't have these numbers to begin with, all you have to do is type in Hitachi impact driver and just go through the images until you find it. It takes a bit longer, but it's the only way to do it if you don't know the model. And you need the model to get the price of the part and to get the part numbers. But that is just too expensive. That's what I always found with all the Hitachi stuff. Spare parts were always expensive, but the tools were cheap to buy. This thing wouldn't have been all that expensive back in the day, and it wouldn't cost that to replace the body itself now. Definitely not worth fixing. A lot of people don't actually put these back together again. I myself don't. Sometimes. But if I like a wee tool like this, it's easier and quicker to just put it back together than it is to go out and look for a box to put it all into. So that's not worth fixing. That's the end of the Hitachis. Now on to the Bosch. One of my favourite ones, GWS 7/115, 4.5 inch Bosch grinder. It's funny, some places still do 4-inch grinders, 100mm disc. Most other countries actually go with the 125, 5-inch grinders. Better machine, generally more powerful. For some reason over here, 4.5 inch is the one everybody wants. So right, one wee fart, and that's it. Might be a simple one. Brush holders are packed up. Brush isn't moving. Don't just pull it by the lead down here. If they jam up like this, try to take the thing apart. See, that's not moving either. If you keep pulling that now, you're going to pull the lead out. You'll have to replace the brushes. Head off. Let's see if we can prise this out. Get something with a wee curl on it. Get down under here. Just prise the brush up just a little bit. So that brush is actually snagging. and that's your dust shield here on the rotor. If you try to pull that rotor straight out without lifting the brushes, you're going to break the brushes anyway. So try to get them lifted up before you take them out. If you break them, just means you have to replace them then. But once you get them out, you can get the armature out without breaking them. You can get something long and flat. So with a flat bottom on it. Push the brush out from the underside. You can unscrew the brush holder as well. Pop that screw off, pull off the leads, and take the whole brush holder out. But when you leave them in and do it, it gives you something to hold when you're pressing them out. Press that one out. Screwdriver down on the table. Just give it a press. You can see the dirt that builds up on the brushes, all the dust. That eventually files up the brush, jams it against the holder, and it can't move down. You know it's the brushes because of the face of them. Instead of being smooth and shiny, dull and black. Because the last wee bit of cutting they were doing, instead of touching the rotor, they've actually made a gap, and that power's actually been arcing across it. So it's been making a flash, eating away the brush, and then eventually the brush moves away too much, can't make contact anymore, the thing stops working. That's whenever I switched it on, you got a wee fart, just a wee jump out of it, and that was it. File these down and clean them. Very simple and cheap fix. All you need is a file. Any of the dirt or debris, old bits of brush that might be in there, file all that away. That'll give the holder more room for the brush to slide up and down. Clean the holders out and clean the brushes also. Just give them a very light sand, file, just to get the debris off it. Just make sure your bearings are good enough before you put it back together. These ones are fine. And so you want your brushes to be moving nice and freely. If they're too stiff, that spring won't be able to push them down. And that should be it. Should run now instead of fart. And sir, one Bosch grinder up and running. Nice reliable GWS 7/115. Next up, the last up actually of this lot, is the same again, another GWS 7/115. See what this one's doing. Lead. Let's see if it's a full lead or it's just a wee break. Nah, just replace the whole lead. Just check these brushes while we're here. That one's okay. We'll also just give us a wee clean out. Because if one got packed out with dirt, another one could get packed out. And also, that's fiberglass there. Very hardened machines. They're cutting fiberglass with us too. The resin can tend to get under the brushes and stick to everything. So we'll just give that a good clean out as well. Just down here, and blow the air compressor down through the top too. Not going to strip it apart. That's the end of the roll. So he's getting an even longer lead. He's getting the extra. Normally about 4 meters on. There's more like 5. Your wires on first and see how much lead you need to cut away. A wee track for the leads to actually go onto. Make sure you press them on down there. Keeps them out of the way so they don't snag on the bottom cover. And also on newer machines, when you replace the lead, the original lead is actually a little bit thinner. So when you put on a heavier lead like this, you'll actually need to replace the grommet as well. But this has already been replaced, so it already has the heavier grommet on it. So blow this out as well. reusing the old plug. There's nothing wrong with this one, so no need to replace it. These plugs actually have a wee quick clamp built into them. This piece here is actually a wee spring piece of plastic with teeth on it. You can push the lead up or else press it down, but she jams up when you try to pull it out. It's a quicker and cheaper way of doing a cable clamp on a plug. Wouldn't be as fond of these ones, but nothing wrong with this, so may as well reuse it. I'd much rather the actual clamp that's screwed on instead. That should be it. That's two Bosch GWS 7/115 grinders, a Makita, cordless Hitachi, all repaired, and one cordless Hitachi impactor, not repaired. I'll be happy enough. Keeps him going for a while longer. Means he doesn't need to buy any more machines. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Give us a wee like and a follow if you're enjoying the content. Cheers.